Okay, we're live on YouTube. Make sure everything working here with the camera. I thought I was gonna have to like do some whole verification stuff, but apparently we are good to go. I do not know how audio is on that, so I wonder how the audio is. I want to go live on Instagram here as well. We will be live streaming both. So if you are catching this on the YouTube replay, it looks like I'm having audio. I hope it's coming from here. Is it coming from here? I don't know where it's coming from. Let's see if I can. I want to allow it, but I want to specify which microphone to use. Well, we will figure that out later. I will keep this close. Hopefully the audio comes through. So I will be going back and forth between the two cameras. I'm going to be going live here on Instagram in just a second, which is where all the comments will come in because nobody knows to come watch me on YouTube live. This is new. I'm doing this as a backup to make sure that my Instagram doesn't kick me out since it last time didn't let me save and share. So we're hoping technology works. With that being said, I am going to go live on Instagram. Hopefully we are good with connections. We are live on Instagram. I'm actually simulcasting live to YouTube, trying something new, hoping that everything cooperates in terms of technology. Let me close out some settings over there. So we're live here on Instagram. For those of you who are tuning in on Instagram on the replay, you may want to jump ahead. We will probably talk about a couple things to kind of get started, do the hellos. We got Out of My Blooming Mind. Danny is here. We got James from Singapore is here. Mike showed up. Hey, Mike. Good to see you. So glad you made it. AJ Lambert Co. is here as well. So all of you guys, we will be talking tonight about the Cambridge Analytica with Facebook data mining. That's what we're talking about specifically. So if you have comments and questions, please join in with those. I want this to be an open conversation. I am hoping that Instagram will let me save and share. I did a test last night and it all worked, which was lovely since the time before it didn't work. But just to be safe, I'm actually going live on YouTube as well, doing a simulcast. So worst case scenario, maybe the YouTube live video will live on. So we'll see how this goes, since obviously I plan on talking more to those of you over here on Instagram. For those of you tuning in, we will be talking about Facebook, the latest news about Facebook and this whole Cambridge Analytica stuff. We're diving into all of that. A whole bunch of you are popping on as we say hello. We got Dr. Pepper MD is in the house. Good to see you. Haven't chatted with you in a while. Watson KS is here. Ken. We got Boryana Kolf. I'm probably totally butchering that, but here as well. Hendo Fit Team is here. My co-author, the wonderful Corey Walker, for those of you who I'm sure are all wonderfully familiar, but my co-author of Instagram for Business for Dummies, the lovely and talented Corey Walker is in the house. You can get the book on Amazon if you want to grab a copy. Ken is saying, hey. Miss Ann Kemp is here as well. Oh, and by the way, sweetheart, I don't think I mentioned to you that I did use your example in my keynote presentation last week at the Marketech Conference. So you were well discussed in terms of what you're doing with your account on Instagram and using that as an influencer platform to showcase local New Zealand attractions and restaurants and that sort of thing. So shout out to you because we did talk about you in my keynote. Allison, peanutgallery.com. is here as well. AJ Lambert Co. said, watching Jen's trends while organizing fishing tackle, not a bad day. Sounds like a good day to me. Love it. We got Kate Noon is in the house as well. Miss Ann Camp is saying, yes, girl. Carlin Progress. Crystal Vet is here. Denise Wakeman is here. Hey, Denise, so good to see you as well. James is saying, good day to you from Singapore. He always watches the replay. He comes on, but due to time changes, usually has to leave. And we'll catch the replay. Protopreneur Evie, my girl, is in the house. So good to see you as well. She's watching while filling out her application for the new place. Yay! My girl Evie is moving. They're trying to find a new apartment or house type situation. So we all know how fun that can be. Not so much. I'm assuming, I have no idea how to pronounce this properly, but either maybe Bucheta Madrid joined, so good to see you as well. You guys, I want to type up in here, because you know I can't talk and type at the same time. Mama just ain't that talented. So we will be talking about Facebook data mining, posting, pinning, boom. All right, so we've also got Ride with Dan USA is in the house. We got Miss Wendy Ray in the house. So thank you to all of you who are tuning in. We are talking about the latest news with Facebook and the data mining, the whole Cambridge Analytica situation. For those of you who want a really good recap and timeline of what went down, Mike Alton wrote a great post. It is awesome. I highly recommend you go read it. It's at thesocialmediahat.com, and he has a great article, like super detailed. He breaks out all the key players, the timeline, kind of really explains everything that is going on with this whole chaos that blew up in this recent week with this whole Facebook topic that we're talking about. So if you want some background in addition context to what we talk about tonight on camera, go check out that article afterwards. It'll be a great resource for you to kind of put all the pieces together in this very complicated puzzle. Out of my blooming mind says, the hubby says hi. I say hi back. I'm so glad that you're here with me tonight, you guys. Secret Dog Business is here as well. Ride with Dan USA is saying hello. Watson K said he read Mike's post and he loves it. Kessie Rottweiler is here as well. Good to see you. So before we get started, because we will be talking about a lot of good stuff, but I do have to point out that today is Autism Awareness Day, and it's Odd Sock Day as a way to support and bring awareness. So I will move my chair and I will show off that I have, this is really hard for me to do to reach the camera. Yay! See, I have my funny socks. I'm on my funny socks. So for those of you who are wearing your odd socks today, congratulations. Enjoy your funny socks. Please take photos. Please share them. Let's bring some awareness. There's some great things going on social media today in support of the Autism Awareness Day. So we've got Tracy in the house as well. Thank you for joining. The Curvy Executive just showed up as well. Good to see you. So there have also been big announcements today in the world of Instagram. I am not going to talk about those tonight. We have much more other pressing issues to talk about in regards to this Facebook topic. I will talk about more of these Instagram updates. We'll kind of figure out when I want to mix those into either a live call or that sort of thing. I've been posting about them in my stories and on my Instagram account. So if that's something you want more information on, with coming out with the latest updates and announcements and that sort of thing, always follow along on Instagram. And today's blog post is the topic that will not die, the new Instagram algorithm. You guys know how I feel about it. You have listened to me probably more times than you want, so I'm not going to rehash it. I really feel a sneeze coming on. So if I'm making funny faces and like breathing funny, it's because my nose is totally tickling me and I have like the worst sneeze building, I swear. Oh, welcome to live camera. So anyways, oh, hi, Lovey Bug. Hi, I love you. My daughter is watching, so I always have to peep out and say hi. Then she watches me and hopefully she gives the phone a kiss because she loves me. I love you, baby girl. But we're not going to be talking, like I said, about those new Instagram updates. And I'm not talking about the blog post today, but it is about the whole new Instagram algorithm that doesn't exist. So if you want to read all of my thoughts and even watch the replay video that I recorded about 2 months ago, which is now available on YouTube, that's also embedded in the blog post that went out at jenstrends.com today. So you can go read that, and please share that article. I don't ask you guys to do a lot of sharing on my behalf, but please share that article with anybody with any capacity in your social media to get the right information out there about the algorithm. I outline it all in great detail in a nearly 2,000-word blog post. So trust me, there is plenty of information in there to validate and kind of correct the bad information that is out there. So that being said, we're going to move on to tonight's topics. What do we got going on in the comments? We got Madame Pastry just joined as well. We got Cheerful. Anissa is in the house. Good to see you. Ken is saying, crap, how did I miss the sock memo? Had plain socks on all day. I am disappointed, Ken. I expect more from you. Relish Foods, NG, joined as well. So good to see you. All right, so you guys, as promised tonight, we are talking about Facebook in the news and this whole Cambridge Analytica situation. So I do not propose to be an expert on this topic. This is nothing that I can give you as any sort of, official legal advice or protection or any of these sorts of things to protect yourself against having your data taken. We're going to talk openly and honestly about the realities of this situation, what is going on, what it means for you as a business, what it means for you as a user. How to talk openly about this. It's entirely up to you how you want to handle the situation and your own personal information. I am just sharing with you my thoughts on a topic. This is in no way meant to be any sort of advice, and that is my legal disclaimer because this is a very legal topic in a lot of ways. Okay, so like I mentioned, go read Mike Alton's post at the Social Media Hat because he has a great blog post that kind of recaps everything. But in a really quick synopsis, as you've probably heard, you've watched the news, you've probably been seeing it, if you've been on social media, you've been seeing people talking about it. Basically, news came out recently that Cambridge Analytica, this company, took a bunch of Facebook users' data and information, took it off of Facebook, used it to create informational packets about Facebook users that could be used for marketing tactics. The information was taken off of Facebook. We all know that you can target ads on Facebook based on criteria, based on various aspects of individuals on the platform. That we all know, I think as marketers, we're very well versed in that idea. But the big issue with this was that this company took the content and this data off of Facebook. They used it for their own personal use. And again, Mike Alton's article does a much better job of explaining this, but basically they call it PsyOps, psychological, I want to say operations. I'm totally forgetting the actual correct terminology, but something along those lines of psychological manipulation, basically. And they are using this data to feed you content and information as a way to change your perspective, to change your mind, to further direct you in a certain direction, especially in the political landscape. So this company and this method was used heavily in the Brexit recent issue over in the UK. And they were very well involved in that campaign. And they were actually heavily involved, I want to say, in the Ted Cruz campaign. And when he did not become the nominee, they got heavily involved in the Trump campaign. So this is not meant to be anything related to a political conversation. But that being said, this information was used in political arenas. So of course that has to kind of come up in a discussion. But I'm not talking about it from any perspective. Mike Alton is saying right, so I must have got something right, probably the reference to the PsyOps, because it sounds kind of crazy. And you guys are all talking about that, like psychological warfare, all these sorts of things. Visual Expert is here as well. Carolyn Lynn Inspire is here. I'm Laura Lau is here. A bunch of people have tuned in, so thank you for joining us. We are talking about the Facebook data mining conversation that is going on in the news right now in another company to gather all this information. Basically what happened, and this is one of the things we're going to talk about, basically what happened was this was back in 2013, 2014 timeframe. They created a quiz. You know, all those lovely quizzes on Facebook, the find out which, TV character you are and find out whether, are you a fluffy bunny or a grizzly bear? Like, they come up with the stupidest quizzes, right? Like, we've all seen them. We've all done them. I think we can all admit at one point we've taken one of those quizzes. So they took a quiz. And in taking that quiz, all of these users granted permission to that app to access their information. Now, I'm talking about your public information on Facebook. Nothing like, none of your like social security numbers, phone numbers, nothing that was like protected by data type legal coverage. But they took all of your information and your friends' information. So in doing this, I think they said they had about 300,000 people take this quiz, which is a lot of people. But because of that and all of their friends and the way that everyone is interconnected through relationships on Facebook, they got upwards of 10, possibly 30, possibly 50 million people's data. And by data, I'm talking about personnel profiles. So in these profiles, the information that was garnered was things like, are you a Republican or a Democrat? Are you more likely to vote one way or the other? Are you pro-gun, anti-gun? All these kinds of topics and kind of, like I said, personality traits that mimic personalities. So every one of these, millions of people, they had these profiles based on what you had done on Facebook, based on how you answered this quiz, based on the things you put out there publicly. They could create these personas and know what information to target you with in terms of a marketing campaign, what things would work best based on your personality to either encourage you to keep that mentality or to try to change your perspective. So that being said, we have a few comments and things that have come in. Let me just see where we're at. Tracy saying it's so disgraceful. Julia Bramble joined. Hey, Julia, good to see you. Ask Evie said, but they are fun time wasters. Yes, they are, but they are stupid. And I know Evie knows that. So she's being a little facetious in the comment. But yes, they are fun time wasters. Tickle Tree Studio joined as well. Good to see you. Living the Life of Randy's here. Templeton Silver is here as well. Tracy's asking who would answer that. You would be surprised. It's amazing what people will answer on these Facebook quizzes. And I see them all the time, you guys. Literally, it's like, which Friends character are you? Or which Disney princess are you? All of these quizzes that people flood, and once one of your friends does it, everyone else does it. Everyone does it and does it, and it goes viral, and you get 300,000 people answering these stupid quizzes. And most of the time, the quizzes probably aren't even targeted towards what the information is they're really trying to get. They're just creating a quiz they know people will take that gives them access as an app through the API to your data information. Now, what we have to stress here is that this, again, happened in 2013. This was 5 years ago. 5 years ago. Now, is the data that they mined wrong 5 years later? Probably not. Most of us probably haven't changed that drastically in our political views and general persona over 5 years. So the information isn't necessarily outdated, but this happened 5 years ago. 2014, 2015, Facebook was aware of the broad scope that people had access to as apps, and they started locking that information down. They made it much harder for these apps to get in and get any of this data, or the data they got wasn't nearly as robust as it was in 2013. So Facebook did make big strides towards correcting this a few years ago. Again, 2014, 2015, they started making changes. So, and that, to Tracy's point, just typed in, Facebook must have known about this. We also have Jamie Lynn Dawson just joined. So yes, I'm sure Facebook was aware of this. They could see information being pulled. But again, from the whistleblowers and people who used to work at Facebook or work for these other companies that are affiliated with either Cambridge Analytica or the other companies in this whole debacle, was that Facebook kind of at the time took a very hands-off. They didn't want to know what happened with, and this is alleged. I'm not saying this is true or not, but this is what has been reported in the news by people who are affiliated with either Facebook or these other companies, saying that Facebook did know this was happening and they were taking a hands-off approach, saying, we don't care what happens when the data leaves us, because probably from a legal perspective, if they knew, they would be held liable. If they don't know, then they can plead, innocence in a court and get off in terms of a company without as much legal ramifications. So it is a complicated situation that I'm sure is a much deeper web of intertwined chaos and people and knowledge and hidden things and deleted things and redacted things and a whole bunch going on that a lot of us probably never want to know about. My girl, actually, it was funny because my girl Tanya, who's always here, wasn't feeling well. So she said she would catch the replay and she was going to go watch some Olivia Pope and go to bed. And I was like, funny you should be watching Olivia Pope, because I kind of feel like we're in a little bit of a scandal type show with all of this. And I'm sure if you've watched Scandal, you know how scandalous, how crazy that political landscape is. And I bet you there probably is to some extent that much going on in the background of all of these things. It's probably way more than any of us would ever really want to know. Madam Story is here. Good to see you, sweetheart. And Jenny Nillette just tuned in as well. We're talking about the Facebook data mining, all the news that's going on with Facebook and Cambridge Analytica. So this all, like I said, Facebook was probably aware of it to at least some extent. And they'd made changes in 2014 and 2015 to really start kind of closing down this access that apps have. I want to say, see all my notes, all my chicken scratch notes. I want to make sure I cover everything. So yeah, since 2014, this same level of exposure is not there. And so what the problem was, like I said, what they were getting was that they were getting not only your information, but they were getting your friend's information without your friend's approval. So you took the quiz, you gave authorization for your public information, but they were getting your friend's information as well without the friend's approval. So now the way it currently works is if they want to pull both pieces of information, they have to get approval from both people, both of them saying, yes, we accept the terms of that app or whatever it is. So that's kind of the background. That's how it got to this point. So then basically what happened was Cambridge Analytica took all this information and they used it, as we already talked about, to create all this marketing content in a political landscape to try to help drive results in favor of the side of the political landscape that was basically paying them. So did it work? Not going to say. Don't really have an opinion on that. But Facebook found out about this, I want to say in 2015. And in 2015, they basically gave a cease and desist type. I don't think it was an actual cease and desist, but there was a legal paperwork exchanged that told Cambridge Analytica that they had to delete all of that information. They had to completely destroy it, as well as the other company that was involved with this. And they came back saying they did. So it was kind of like, hey, hands washed, we're moving on with this. Well, what happened was that very recently, in the last couple weeks, more has come up, and I believe it was The Guardian, as well as a couple other publications that did some research and found out that allegedly Cambridge Analytica had not deleted all of this information. So it was still being used in the 2016 political landscape with the American elections. So Facebook has now come back and said, you are cut off. Cambridge Analytica can't have any access to the platform and all this kind of stuff. Well, great. The damage is already done. Like, they're already getting all the information. They've already done a ton of, all this data mining. So, but that's what kind of rejuvenated it into the conversation. And that's what's been going on in the news now. So the big question is, what does this mean? Like, is this that important? Does it really matter? What does this mean going forward? And I really, so I do want to point out, Tracy just asked the question, is there a way to check if you were on that Cambridge Analytica list? To be honest, I do not know. I am not aware of any ability to check that list. What may happen is if we get to a point where this becomes political enough, in the sense of, like, if Congress or something like that gets involved, there may be something where they have to publish that list, because by law, if data is breached, there are restrictions and timeframes in which a company has to release that information. The problem is that they're claiming, as far as I'm aware, that the data that was breached was not sensitive data that needed to be notified, because it was your public data on Facebook. It wasn't things like your phone number, your birth date, or anything sensitive. It was things like you liked certain posts, or you commented on certain posts, or you took these quizzes, and your name, and your maybe the city you live in, and those sorts of things that you have on your public profile was mined. It wasn't a data breach in that sense. So as far as I know, there is no list. There's nothing of anything saying they have to release any information. And I'm pretty sure Cambridge Analytica ain't going to come out and tell you what that list was. Like, they're not going to give up that information. So unless it comes from some sort of political motivation to say this has to be put out there for us to have access to, I can't imagine ever being able to get access to that information. Okay, so Robin the Artist is also here as well. Suds Brewing Co. is here. Tyler is here as well. Good to see you, sweetheart. And Brian Mannon is here as well. For those of you who are tuning in late, we are talking Facebook data mining and all the news that's going on right now with Facebook and Cambridge Analytica. So I want to kind of just put this in context. Is this a big deal? Maybe? Not really? Like it's kind of there's no real good answer to that, and I wish I had a better answer. So here's the thing, you guys. Like I just said, the data that was taken was your public data. It wasn't something that was sensitive information. It wasn't something that anybody could use to, create a false persona and apply for a credit card or a home loan in your name. All they did was take information that you put out there publicly, content that you interact with, to create a persona to market towards you. If this freaks you out, I'm sorry. Welcome to the 21st century. This is the world we live in. These things are going to continue to keep happening. I think the bigger reality shock right now is how people are finally realizing that it's happening. I think a lot of us in this industry are taking this probably a little more kind of like, blasé, in the sense that we kind of know this is happening. Like, we know how Facebook ad targeting works. We know how Google ad targeting works. We know how retargeting works. Like, we get it. Like, we know how this stuff works. So we're kind of like, well, duh, obviously Facebook is doing this. Like, obviously people have access to this information. The average user doesn't understand that. I am still waiting for my dad to send me an email and ask me what Facebook got on him, because let me just point out, my dad just got on Facebook like last year in like 2017 because he refused to join Facebook because he didn't want to give up his credit card information. As you all know, you do not need a credit card to start a Facebook profile. But he was so reluctant to join Facebook and put information out there. So now that this is happening, I'm waiting for that like kind of shoe to drop for him to be like, hey, Facebook just stole all my information. I'm going to have to be like, no, they didn't. It's okay, Dad, I promise. So it's those people who are not in this industry to the level that we are don't necessarily understand the full ramifications of what is going on in the background every single day. Now, that being said, we're all aware of that, and this was still kind of a big deal to a lot of us. So we still have to be very aware of this and think about what this means going forward. So that being said, I just want to say hi to Skinny Pistachio, just joined. Watson KS Ken said, we already know the info we can get on people. Absolutely. You guys, seriously, single mom dating. I Google the F out of anybody I go on a date with, and I can find out a lot of information from Google. Like, trust me, I'm finding out who these guys are before I go on a date. Like, I'm not crazy, but it's easy to do. Like, and if I can do that as like a normal person just on Google and I can find out all this information, imagine what these companies can do with access to our data on Facebook. Imagine what they have access to when they have these bots that are in there, like just scouring the web for information. So there's a ton of capacity for you guys, for these companies to get our information. On my blooming mind said that's exactly what her hubby said. Pure Fiji is here. Good to see you as well. Joanne Blondin just joined. Demaster Lycus said hello. Good to see you as well. Mike's here as well. You're laughing at me. I love it. Watson K said, feel you, Jen. My mom just asked today if this was related to the Facebook algorithm. Oh, good Lord. Okay, we're not going down the road in the Facebook algorithm. My Blooming said, can't you reject their access and settings? Yes, and we are going to talk about that in more detail. Natalie Stories is here. Good to see you as well. Marty Jarvis just joined you guys for tuning in late. We are talking about the Facebook Cambridge Analytica data mining situation. If you haven't caught the beginning, you'll want to come back and watch the replay of this video, assuming I can save it and replay it. And because we talked a lot about how we led up to the background on this and all that kind of information. So a couple comments just came in. Tyler said, so interesting with the timing of this and Instagram rolling out shopping functions. Will backlash affect Instagram despite clear public preference for Instagram? OMG, Snapchat's recent content choice. Look, to be completely honest, and actually Mike Alton talks about this a bit in his blog post as well. Will this have an impact on Facebook and Instagram? I don't know. I think some people are going to, the whole like hashtag delete Facebook, which by the way, side note, you guys, which I found out today from a reputable source, I just realized I have like a big old thing of makeup like right under my eye. Oh, I look like a big old like black eye. That's awesome. Anyways, live video. My friend Mitch Jackson is a lawyer here in San Diego, and he does a lot with social media. And apparently, if you delete your Facebook account, it takes 90 days for that information to actually be deleted. So if you're jumping on this whole delete Facebook because that's going to save you from having all your information exposed, it's still going to take 90 days for that information to go away. So people can still be mining that data for the next 90 days. Not to mention, given everything that's just happened, you don't think Facebook's putting a lockdown on this shiz? Like, seriously. They are well aware of what is going on, and they're going to do everything they possibly can to keep people from leaving Facebook. You know why? Because if we all leave Facebook, then Facebook's got nothing. They make no money. They get no ad revenue. Their board's going to, lose their shiz. It's not going to be a good day. So they're going to do everything in their power. And for the record, Mark Zuckerberg put out a very big statement today. I will give you some highlights of that as well before we finish this call in response to this. So will this backlash affect Instagram? I really don't think so. I think, again, even though people know Facebook owns Instagram, people treat them differently, even though this, in relation to today's blog post, sometimes they think they're the same thing and it's not. I don't see as much of an impact on Instagram. I think people have a very Facebook mindset about this, and because Facebook's so big and the way the content is on there versus how people interact on Instagram. So I'm not hearing or seeing anything that relates to an Instagram backlash. But again, only time will tell how this really rolls out. Mike Galton also said they can couple that level of personal detail with big data trend analysis to determine future behavior. Yes, there's a lot that they can do with that data. That is a great point that Mike just brought up, that, taking that information that says this is who you are and what what you're engaging with and what you're liking and how you're behaving on Facebook, they can use that to do a trend analysis, especially if they can find data for years and see what you do at different times of the year. How do you spend at different times of the year? They can figure out, your spending habits or your political motivations and affiliations and all these sorts of things, and determine what that means for your future behavior as well. And again, target you during those ideal times in order to maximize that PSYOPs, as we talked about earlier. Rebecca Freeman is here as well. Sorry, I'm trying to read a comment. Seeking Surnames is here. Good to see you as well. Tyler said, Hotel California of social. Mike Alton said, it's closing the barn door after the horses are gone. True. And Tracy said, yep, they're panicking big time right now. Okay, so here's one of the big things that I want to kind of stress about this whole situation, that kind of into what Mike is talking about in closing the barn door after the horses are gone. The way technology is, and anybody who has done anything with a smartphone or a computer is pretty aware of this, but technology is moving at such a rapid pace, you guys. When you look at the grand scheme of things, the speed at which technology is evolving, the speed at which things are changing rapidly in this industry, in this world, within social media, is exponentially fast. Nothing can compare to the speed at which we're evolving. And yet our government, not so fast. They're coming out with things to mandate and regulate things that are already 3 years old. They're coming out with these things to say, oh, you have to do this and you have to behave this way. And they're trying to put this legislation and these restrictions and regulations in place. But by the time they even get these things published or put out there for any sort of regulation, they're already completely outdated. And all of these companies, be it Facebook or these small companies who want to manipulate the system, they have 12 loopholes to get around that one mandate because it's already completely outdated for current technology. The problem with that is that it leaves self-regulation as the only real solution, which means Facebook has to regulate themselves. It means Snapchat, Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter, all of them have to regulate themselves. It means all of these companies like Cambridge Analytica basically have to self-regulate. And guess what? For good, for bad. You could go either way. You could be that person who takes the high road and says, no, we're going to do the right thing and we're going to stand by the right thing even though we could do the bad things. But most businesses, as we know, will find those loopholes. They will find those shortcuts. They will find ways to make more money. And a lot of these businesses are doing that because there's nothing regulating them. We cannot keep up in terms of anything we have from a legislative standpoint to manage this kind of content. If you've ever listened to Elon Musk talk about artificial intelligence and how much we need regulation in that industry because how fast it's evolving and how fast things are changing and how this stuff could be used in completely the wrong way for humankind, it's kind of crazy, but it's true. And the same thing goes for all of this social media and all of this technology that these companies have access to and the data. You guys, here's the thing. Convenience, privacy. This is the game we play. Do you want to hit log in with Facebook and not have to create a username and password that you have to remember? Heck yeah, you do. Do you just want to be like, yeah, log that in with Facebook and let's just book, I'll just get my Uber, no problem. I'll do whatever. All these things are going to start integrating with Facebook, all these external apps. I've been talking about this for over a year, about this in-app integration with additional apps. Here's the thing. It's only going to be more and more and more and more of this. But as we do that for our convenience, we're giving up that level of privacy. The more you expose that content, the more you're going to put that content out there for everyone to take it. And all these apps have access to these things. So you really have to think about the convenience versus the privacy. If you want the convenience, you have to understand that you're giving up some of that right to privacy. If you really want to keep that privacy, then every time you log into something, don't log in with Google or Gmail. Don't log in with Facebook. Create a unique username and password and remember it, or use a LastPass or something like that that allows you to create, unique passwords and all that kind of stuff so you can manage this. This is not something that is going to get easier for you. Privacy is going to get less and less. Data is going to get more and more. This is not anything that is going to go in any direction in reverse. It's only going to go exponentially forward. And you need to understand that as we move forward as users in this space. Okay, so Seeking Surnames asked, was it only one app, some personality quiz? The original one, I believe, was one quiz that got them about 300,000 participants, which led to either 10, 30, or 50 million total person's data, depending on what sources you rely on. I'm sure they did more after that. But the original they're saying was the result of one quiz. Mike said, we're all plugged in. It's crazy. Dark Moon Nails is here. Uptempo Social. Hey, hey. Corey Walker said, robots freak me out. And my blooming mind said, shit, I didn't even think about that. Romeo Brando is here as well. Good to see you. Tyler said, the Facebook login convenience is the #1 reason I'm still on there. Such good points. Madame Pastry said, agreed. Social digital evolve faster than the system can keep up. Plus, you have a group of people making laws about something they don't seem to understand. That's the thing. The people making the laws aren't using the technology. You have these companies over here creating this technology and creating this world that are no way, not most of the time, they're not advocating or working with the legislatures. So these people creating these laws are like, oh, yeah, I use Facebook. I know how it works. And I'm not saying that's always the case. Some of them are very smart, talented people. But in general, they're not talking to each other. So the people who are creating these laws don't understand the full ramifications of what these companies are doing. Skinny Potassio said, makes me want to learn social media marketing more. Nah! I agree. Seeking Surnames said, I adore convenience. We all do. My Blue Mind said, me too. And Madame Pastry said, it's like my granddad making laws. And that's the thing, you guys, you do have to think about this. Like, I don't want to be stereotypical, but most of the people in our, Congress and Senate and government and all of this, most of them are over the age of 50. No offense to those of you over the age of 50. Some of you are very technologically savvy. But when you're competing with these, 20 and 30-year-olds creating technology that it's second nature to them, and you've had to learn how to use social media, you don't even know how to do coding or any of these kinds of things. You have no idea what to look for when you're looking at these apps. You have no access to any of these apps. They're not giving you backdoor access to say, oh, here's how our app was designed. Here's everything you can do. Like, so as, you're not inherent in that industry, and you're trying to make laws and regulate things based on outdated behaviors and unrealistic expectations of what that technology can do. It's really unfortunate. We will move forward as a country, as a society, as a world, as we move forward and those shifts and change. And this sneeze is coming back, guys. I swear to God, this sneeze has been bugging me this whole video. Oh my God. Okay, so I have so many random little notes in here. So, okay, one of the things I want to talk about, and I'll go back and check those notes. So what can you do? As a user, I do want to talk about this before we get off the call because we have about 20 minutes left. What can you do? Mike said, he said, laws on outdated behavior. Great quote. Thank you. God bless me. Thank you. I'm waiting for the stupid sneeze to come up, and I keep stifling it. And we also had the master musician just join. So, hey there, good to see you as well. So what can you as a user do? First of all, one of the things you can do on Facebook is you can turn off the location services. So you can actually go into your settings, you can turn off location services. Location services are those things that allow you to check in when you go places. So you can say, hey, I'm at the restaurant. Hey, I'm at the airport. Hey, I'm doing this. Turning those off means your phone is also less likely to, or at least Facebook, I take that back, not the phone. Facebook is less able to track what you are doing. When you have location services on, Facebook knows where you go. It knows you stopped at the coffee shop in the morning. It knows you went over here to the store, that you stopped at the gas station, that you went to work, you spent 8 hours at work, and then you stopped and went to, so-and-so's house over at this address, and then you went home. Facebook knows all that, even without you checking in, because the location services are tracking your data points. Now, that being said, I read a whole other thing recently where phones, like even with all of the services turned off, could still literally track when you got in and out of a car. The location tracking data on your phone is insane, you guys, like no joke. So yes, turning off location services on Facebook will help with that. It's not going to help with the entire, concept of exposure and data and all that kind of information, because Google's still tracking it on you. I promise you that. But at least in Facebook, you can turn off the location services if that makes you feel a little bit better. Another thing you can do, which I highly recommend you do, I actually try to go through and do this at least once every 6 months, although it had been a while since I last did it, so I found some things in there that I needed to go clean up. But you can disconnect any third-party apps. So all those things we talked about, the convenience of going in and saying, hey, let's sign in with Facebook, and let's use this, and let's connect Facebook, and I want these two to talk to each other. You have all of these apps connected to Facebook. All of those are pulling your data constantly. They don't stop because you authorized them and you didn't stop them. So they just keep going. Even though you authorized them 3 years ago, they are still collecting your data. We don't want that. So go to your settings. This is best to do on a desktop. Go to settings, go to apps, go in there, see all, and you can see all the apps that are connected to Facebook. Anything you don't currently use or want connected to Facebook, remove until you are happy. Yes, you are going to leave some things connected. You're going to leave your Uber connected. You're going to leave your, maybe some of your connection apps for other things, like maybe you use a MailChimp or maybe you use like a Hootsuite, those sorts of things. You're going to want to keep those connected. That's totally fine. Do what you want to do. If you remove them, you're going to have to re-authenticate again the next time you want to connect those things. But it is good to go through on a regular basis. Like I said, I do it once every 6 months on average and go through and delete all the old ones. You can go in and check your privacy settings and make sure that you aren't sharing things that you don't want to share with people. One of the things that is highly recommended is that you share things with friends only when you're an actual person on Facebook, not your business page, but as a person, because we're talking about this from the personal perspective. Share with friends only. When you share with friends only, that's not public data, which means it's not data that they can mine. When you share things publicly on your profile, that's data that they can mine. If it's shared with friends only, they can't mine that data. It's different in how it's collected. So think about that. Think about the content. Is this something you want to have publicly shared? If it's not something you want publicly shared, then go in there and change your default settings to friends only. And you can change that. Like I always have friends only, but once in a while I make a post public, so I change that post to public. But the next one goes back to friends only. This does help keep your content a little bit more secure. Okay, so we had a bunch of comments coming. I just want to take a look at all of these things. Up-tempo, George said, hashtag Gen Knowledge Bomb. Boom, I'll take it. I'm in Bloom Land, it must be San Diego. My allergies are frozen here. That's true. I'm lucky that I'm not in the nor'easter, and I'm lucky that I'm not dealing with all of that bad weather. I'll take some sneezes any day. Excuse me, publishing. Pam just joined. Seeking Surname said, Catch 22. I read so many thrillers and mysteries. I want to be found if kidnapped, so location stays on. Girl, I am with you on that one. No joke. Like I'm sorry, you guys. I leave my location services on. Like if something happens to me, I want every possible resource to be able to ping me, find my phone, find my smartwatch. Like trust me, I've literally been on planes. And I'm like, okay, if my plane gets hijacked and they take my phone, as long as my phone's on, my smartwatch works. And mine doesn't look like an Apple Watch, so they probably wouldn't take it, not knowing it's a smartwatch. So I'd actually still be able to like communicate if I needed to. Like these are the things that go through my mind. This is the world we live in. I'm not even joking. But yeah, I'm like, I keep my location services on because I want people to find me if I get kidnapped. Like I'm not even joking right now. Uptempo Social said, don't take the quizzes, check the page sources before you share anything. My mother shared a post from a white supremacist page because the post said, share if you love Jesus. Facepalm. Agreed, 100%. Ask Evie said you just cleaned up her Twitter of those connections yesterday. Yeah, and this doesn't apply just to Facebook, you guys. This goes across the board. Like, it's not just happening on Facebook. If you think it's only happening on Facebook, you are delusional. And I think all of us know that. But in general, this is something that you do want to make sure you're doing this across all your platforms. Like, all of our platforms, we sync and allow connections. Go in and clean those up. Uptempo Social said, finally, never play games on Facebook. Those are huge data miners. Of course, like back when like the whole like Bejeweled Blitz and the Minecraft and the all those games like that we all play, Candy Crush, all that stuff. Yeah, they're just mining your data, you guys. That's all they're doing. Tracy's saying, thank you. This is awesome. Watson K said, on the logged in apps, you can limit to only me. Yes, that is true. And I have all of mine set to only me. You can go in and change that setting. Thank you for reminding me that I can. Styles by Rezio4 is here. Seeking Surname said, her and our Danny are talking back and forth. Jocelyn Martinez is here. Good to see you, sweetie. Tyler said, this is so helpful. My posts are rarely public unless I'm fundraising and always forgetting about the connected app. Try to update those one time a year, but even that is not enough. Agreed. Charlie Reagan is here. The Nikki Bradley is here. Bodacious Mama, hey, good to see you as well. For those of you tuning in late, do make sure you go back and catch the replay, assuming this saves and posts. I only got about just less than 15 minutes left before we have to end this. But the replay will be available as long as it lets me save it. Last night's test did work, so this one better work. If not, I've been streaming to YouTube Live, so that will hopefully that'll post to YouTube afterwards. Corey Walker said, wow, you have a busy brain. Welcome to my world. I'm that tab, or I'm that browser with like the 47 tabs that are open. That's my mind. This is what I go through every single day. Bodacious Mama said, OMG, I'm so late. It's okay. You're late, but it's okay. This will live on. Mrs. Michelle Benson joined. Jocelyn said, late to the party, a little snow in NYC. I have to watch again. Of course, yes. Come back and watch the replay. As long as you don't drain your battery, because I don't want you to run out of battery juice in case you lose power. That would not be good. So only do it if you can save your battery. I don't want you to take any risk for those of you back east. Which, by the way, Jocelyn has the most gorgeous apartment in NYC. I love your photos. I love watching you. Oh, I just want to come stay with you. Okay, so going forward, a couple things. Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg came out with an announcement today about all of this. And so a couple things to note going forward is that A, they are going to launch a full audit of all apps that have access to your data. So this is and here's the thing, you guys, I realize that Mark's statement is very PR. It is very like, hey, these are the things we're going to do to make this right. Now, that being said, I love the authenticity of his message. It came from his voice. It was real. It was authentic. And I actually believe him. Whether or not they will do it to the full scale that they're talking about, I also understand, in my mind, he understands how serious this is. And he has to save face. He has to make this right. So to do that, he has to do these things. And I really felt that genuine kind of perspective come through in his announcement today. And I really hope that they start doing more of these things and that self-regulation that we talked about. So they are planning on doing a full audit of all apps that have access to your data to see how they're getting the access, what they're doing with that access, and what they can do to control that. Now, that being said, they are also going to restrict developer access to data. It's not going to be anywhere near what it was in 2013 because they locked that down in 2014, but it's still very broad. So they are going to do even more to restrict that access. And going forward, they will automatically remove access to any inactive apps or any apps that you haven't had active for 3 months. Meaning, if you do those connected apps and you're not using anything with that connection for 3 months, they will know, chances are you're not using this anymore. We're going to remove that app's access to your data. I think that is great. I think that for the average user who doesn't know to go in and actually change their settings, for the average user who doesn't know to go in and clean up those apps, that is going to be a big help in conserving that data. Now, is it the solution? No. It's never going to be perfect. You guys, we talked about this. You're putting the information out there. So be smart about what you're putting out there, but also be realistic that you're putting it out there and people are going to use it. Now, realize That's not always a bad thing. I realize some of these companies are using this for bad. And even no matter how you want to look at it, from the Brexit, from the Trump campaigns and all those sorts of things, here's the thing. People are targeting you with information every single day, whether it's the radio, the TV, the billboard you drive by, social media. You are a freaking human being with a brain in your own damn head who can make your own damn decisions. And maybe I am a more independent, stubborn idiot compared to a lot of people, but I'm like, even if someone throws something at me endlessly, I try to understand that you need to see multiple sources, that you need to take the information with a grain of salt and really research the things, especially when we're talking about things like political campaigns. Don't just jump on the whole, hey, this person said the exact same thing I feel, I'm going to share it. Or this must be right because this is what I believe. And I realize that, like I said, I'm probably a more stubborn, independent person than most people. And I'm more likely to take the time to research that information. But I think that's the direction we need to go. We need to be smarter as consumers. We need to be well aware of the content that is being targeted towards us in any capacity. That the things we're seeing on Facebook, on social media, the things we're hearing on the radio, on the TV, on the billboards is being targeted to impact us in some way, in some sort of psychological operation to change our mind. They want us to buy their products. I don't care whether it's a pair of shoes, a tube of lipstick, a can of hairspray, a pretty dress, whatever it is, they want me to buy it. And they're going to try to tell me what I need to hear to buy it. I worked in sales for years. I do marketing now. I know how this works. And if you think that these companies are not in any way using this data to help manipulate you to do what they want you to do, then you are completely naive, and I am very sorry, but welcome to the 21st century. It has gotten technologically advanced, and you're going to have to accept that this is the reality of the world we live in. Oh, okay, breathe, Jennifer. All right, where are we at? Bodacious Mom said, that's my mind too. 50 tabs open at all times. Uptempo Central said, Jen, you have to come back to New York and we can hang again. I will definitely find a reason. I'm coming up to Jersey and the Maine area in September. Not sure how long of a trip it's going to be and how many people I can fit in, but I will be up there in September. Jennifer's 362 is here. Jocelyn said, my poor Uncle Freddie was right, LOL. He was always commenting about Facebook knowing our stuff, LOL. Be My Marketer just joined as well. Uptempo said, oh man, there goes my Capbook app. Jocelyn said, yeah, but friends and family beg us to take their dumb quizzes. Oh, God, right? Launch Grow Joy just joined as well. Rhythm Dance Center joined as well. Jocelyn Martinez said, yes, but the majority don't know. They believe the copy. Unfortunately, yes, but H's Mom said, you are so right. They know more about us than we do. Be My Marketer said, love your passion. And then FDT Vision just joined as well. Okay, so you guys, we're going to be wrapping up here soon. Just want to, in addition to the quizzes, you know what else does this? You know those really cool frames that you can put on your profile photo? Like the whole, like whenever there's some sort of catastrophe or global news story, like when there was the, when there's a bombing, whether it was in London, when there was the, when things happened in Paris, when it's St. Patrick's Day, whenever these things come out and they say, add this frame to your profile photo. Guess what? Data mine galore. And you do it because you want to show solidarity. You want to put up that profile photo that says, yes, I am there with these victims, or yes, I'm Irish for the day. Whatever it is, people jump on those frames. And guess what? They're just a huge data suck. That's all they want is your public data. And they're like, oh, you so smart, you're not going to do quizzes? You so dumb, you're going to put this frame on your photo. And you do it because you think it's cool. And it's not. Don't ever put a frame on your photo, please. Okay, Mike's laughing at me, saying so true, everyone's laughing at me. Seeking said, oh no, don't make me hate the frames. Man said, holy shit, I didn't know about the frames. Yes, you guys, the frames are some of the worst ones out there. Uptempo Social said, I mark myself safe and random disasters nowhere near me to throw Facebook off. George, do you really think Facebook is that dumb? Come on, they know where you are. Jocelyn said Facebook revolutionaries. Corey said, I didn't know the frames did that. type of socialist and not even the social media marketing world. Okay, maybe I'll let social media marketing world off the hook because they're just trying to really do that for actual probably marketing. And Mike said, I just added a frame. Just kidding. Like I was about to smack you. I'm not even joking. So, but yes, you guys, like you really do need to think about these things. Whenever anybody puts something on Facebook that says, hey, join this, chances are it's a data mining field. Like that's all they want because they know these people will jump on it and they're manipulative because they know people will fall for it. And you mean well by doing it, but you're not doing well. You're actually hurting yourself in the long run. And okay, so long story short in all of this, because it's been an hour, so not really a short story, but what is the future going forward for this? Obviously, we talked about the things that, you know, Facebook is looking to do going forward. I think this brings awareness to a lot of the general public. Like I said earlier, this is a lot of stuff that you and I as marketers are well aware of, but that average everyday users aren't necessarily aware of. And it's a good educational thing for them to learn and understand these ramifications of social media. Understanding what it means to put your content and data out there on these social media platforms and what really is going out there and is it really that bad or is it not that bad? But it's a good educational period for them. Now, here's my thing. In all honesty, here in the US, and Mike actually brought this point up, Mike Alton brought this point up earlier today, I think on Facebook amongst his friends. He made a comment that this is really big news in the UK and overseas, this whole Facebook thing. But that here in the US, like it already seems to have blown over. Like the news media isn't really talking about it anymore. Like it was a really big deal for a couple days, and now today it's kind of like not been so big of a deal. Again, why media chooses to do the things they do and talk about things the way they do, there's usually some motivation to some extent. So will this blow over? I don't know. Honestly, if they handle it, like Mark got out in front of it today, he made the big statement, if they can show that they're making the changes, and if there is no more shoes to drop, I think this will blow over very quickly. I think people will kind of move on, kind of forget about it, maybe be a little bit smarter. I don't think it will have any long-lasting ramifications. Yes, the whole hashtag delete Facebook is out there, but really, even if they hashtag delete Facebook, they'd be back next week. Because if you're deleting Facebook over this, then you obviously weren't using that much anyways. Because that's why you're okay. Like hell no, I ain't doing my Facebook. That is my connection to the world, people. I need my Facebook. I'm not even joking. Like that is my connection to the world. So why would I get rid of it? Like this to me is not nearly important enough in the big scheme of things for me to actually want to get rid of my Facebook. So if Facebook is that important to you, you'll be back even if you did delete it. And if you deleted it, then you probably weren't using it that much in the first place. So I really don't think that's going to have a huge ripple effect in the big scheme of things. Now, if more things come out as a result of this in any sort of a negative way, it could have longer lasting impacts. Is this going to impact their, share value? Sure, it'll rebound, assuming nothing else happens. So there's definitely some things that you need to, kind of prepare for from that perspective as a marketer, that, your audience may ask questions, your audience may want to shift to other platforms, they may want to start using, even Instagram, not realizing that Instagram's owned by Facebook. But they may want to shift and kind of move away from Facebook in light of all of this. They may not want to comment on your content as much because they're afraid about, this public interaction. So it could have some impact on you as a marketer. Will this be long-term? I don't know. I don't think any of us know. Like I said, this whole thing started 5 years ago, and now all of a sudden it's a really big deal for the modern everyday user. So could it be another year or 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 before this, ever becomes a really big issue? Maybe it blows over. We really don't know. But again, as a marketer, keep doing what you're doing. Do not put all your eggs in the Facebook basket. Make sure you've diversified. Make sure you have your audience in other places. Make sure you're not relying on just your profile or your business page. Look at groups. Look at other ways to interact on Facebook that are perhaps a little bit more private, not a public group, but a private group where it's closed, where again, that information is less likely to be mined by these data sources. So you have to start thinking about things and ways that you can reassure your audience. If you have a Facebook group, maybe even have that conversation and say, hey, you guys, if this bothers you at all, we have a Facebook group, which is a private group and gives you a little bit more security, in the Facebook current situation. There's ways that you can reach out and develop a bit more of that trust factor with your audience if that's something you feel you need to do. We're going to get kicked off here very, very soon. Justin said, I'm going to spread the word and tell them to find you on this live replay. Thank you so much. Justin said I was a queen in my past life, though. I like that one. Girl, you and me, honey. I'm telling you. I wasn't a queen in the past life. I'm a queen in this life, right? You too, girl. I love you. Kiss My Light Photo just joined as well. Where the heck are the freaking settings in FB? On the desktop is the easiest, up in the top right corner. It could be right next to your profile photo. There's a couple little icons. There's a little drop down. That's where all the settings are. Out of my blooming mind, had to leave, put the girl to bed. Mwah, thank you for being here. Eric, my co-author on Instagram for Business for Dummies, just joined in as well. Jocelyn said, honestly, it's looking like very high school, like the whole platform. Bodacious Mama said, all the internet is collecting data, big deal. Exactly. Jocelyn said, with time, we've added so many people and then all the junk, it has happened to other platforms. Absolutely. Bodacious Mama said, I got literally 28 seconds. We're already being tracked and monitored. I swear my phone is listening to me and no one cares. Absolutely. Hey, thank you, Mike. Thank you, everybody. I love you. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate all of you who stayed on live. Make sure that you come back and watch the replay. If you missed anything, I'm going to hopefully save it and share it. Thanks, you guys. Love you.